Hey, She Ace That listeners, find us on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Every subscribe, like, and follow goes a long way, and I can't thank you all enough for your support. And with that, let's get into today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to She Ace That. It's your host, Alexandra, and I'm so excited to say those words again because we are officially kicking off season 2 of She Ace That. If you're new here, welcome. This is a podcast where we have real conversations with athletes, coaches, people in the sports world about the stuff that actually matters, the mental side, the personal journeys, the lessons that go way beyond the court, the gym, the field. If you've been here since season 1, thank you. Seriously, we did 25 consecutive weekly episodes in 2025, and the support from this community has been incredible. I took a little break, recharged, kind of, and now I'm back and ready to bring you even more amazing conversations for season 2 this year. So it's 2026. Happy New Year to everybody listening. I still can't believe it's 2026. Every year just goes by faster, I swear. And I'm trying to be really intentional with the time that I have as things progress, because especially if you have kids, each year goes by and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like the next year of their life, our lives, and things are just crazier than ever as always. But I do want to kick off this season by talking about something that's on probably a lot of people's minds right now, and that's goals, resolutions, and actually making change happen. Like, personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the traditional New Year's resolution approach. It's obviously easy to use a deadline to kind of make bigger changes for yourselves, whether that's habits, something new you want to start. That January 1st mentality is where we make these huge sweeping declarations and then sometimes or oftentimes feels like failures by February. Instead, I want to talk about actually making smaller changes for yourself. I started this before the new year because I was like, I have control of the things that I want to change for myself and my day-to-day life now. Like, I don't have to wait for something. Obviously, it's helpful to have something coming up to make those changes, but I was just really aware of making tangible, realistic shifts that will actually stick for me throughout this year. The athletes who make the biggest improvements aren't the ones who try to overhaul everything that they want to change at once. They're the ones who focus on one small thing, master it, and then build from there. I think we all just have this mentality of like wanting to make a change and it being implemented immediately, but that's not really the most realistic thing for a long-term dedication to whatever that change is. So here's my challenge for all of you this year and for myself. Like, instead of saying I'm going to be a completely different person or I'm going to change something drastic, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do slightly different this week? Like, have a more smaller goal for a smaller time period and start building off of that. Maybe it's adding 5 extra minutes to your warm up. Maybe it's putting your phone in another room while you study. Small, boring, but sustainable. And my goals, for example, were trying to set my alarm to wake up earlier so that I already have a set time for my circadian rhythm every day. I'm trying to go to a workout class 2 to 3 times a week if I can. Obviously, getting back to work this week is going to be impacting that. I started it when I knew I had more time off work. And that's the thing too, is whatever changes you have, find the best time that makes sense to start implementing them for you. It's not always going to be January 1st. It's not always going to be consistent. Life happens, things flow. But again, you really want to focus on smaller and sustainable. And the secret that really nobody talks about is that motivation fades over time, right? Like, yes, it's good to build habits. And once they become habits, you're not spending as much mental power towards them, but willpower can run out and habits are more automatic. So they don't require you to feel inspired always. And habits are built through repetition of smaller actions, not massive overhauls. And that also goes to breaking habits. It takes a long time to break habits, as small as, like I said earlier, playing on your phone, scrolling before bed, getting up earlier each day. Like, your brain is not used to something and it takes it time to rewire. So just be kind to yourself with whatever New Year's resolutions you have planned for 2026. And if you're listening to this and you've already failed at your New Year's resolution this past week, first of all, you haven't actually failed. You just tried something that maybe wasn't sustainable for you yet. I wish you all the best 2026. I'm excited for what it has in store for everybody, and we'll see what comes with this new year. So one thing that comes up constantly on She Ace That and in my coaching and in my life, that's perfectionism. which can be your greatest tool, but also your biggest trap. If you've listened to She Ace That before, you know this is a consistent theme that we've been discussing. And so many incredible athletes and coaches I've talked to have mentioned it. The drive to be perfect, the fear of making mistakes, the way our brains can turn our biggest strength into our biggest obstacle. I think as athletes, we deal with this more than most just because we feel like our success is based on our performance. And that ties to perfectionism in general. And here's what I want you to understand about perfectionism. It's not inherently bad, actually. Like, yes, it can hold you back from giving yourself grace and understanding that we're all human and can make mistakes. But in fact, that attention to detail, that drive for excellence, those qualities that can make you an elite athlete or person, the problem isn't perfectionism itself. The problem is when perfectionism starts controlling you instead of you controlling it. So how do you use perfectionism as a tool without letting it destroy your confidence? Here's what I've learned. First, separate your performance from your identity. A bad game doesn't make you a bad player. Redefine what perfect means. Perfect isn't hitting every ball perfectly, believe it or not. Perfect is giving maximum effort with what you have in that moment. One of my favorite quotes comes from the conversation that you'll hear today with Evie. She is a Michigan State volleyball player. She just graduated as a senior and was there for all 4 years. And she said, even if you have 60% to give on one given day, you give that full 60%. And that's what perfection is, giving all of what you have, not achieving some impossible standard. Third, use your perfectionism in practice and release it in games. So practice is where you obsess over details. Games are where you trust your training and need to feel like you're playing free. If you bring your perfectionism brain into competition, you'll overthink, tense up, and you will play scared, and it won't be your true game. So save the analysis for film sessions and practice reps. And fourth, this is the hardest one of them all, but give yourself permission to fail. I know that sounds counterintuitive to everything perfectionists believe, but here's the truth. You are going to miss serves. You are going to get blocked. You will make errors on this court. And those moments do not have to break you. So don't let them. They can teach you, but only if you let them. Perfectionism is like fire. Controlled, it gives you warmth and light and power. Uncontrolled, it burns everything down, including yourself. And your job is to learn how to tend that fire, to use it without letting it consume you. We're going to keep talking about this throughout season 2. I'm sure it's going to come up a ton, but I think it's one of the most important conversations in sports. So many talented athletes have never reached their full potential because their own minds are working against them. And that doesn't have to be your story. So I just want that to be a continuous conversation that we all need to have in this world. Social media makes it so much harder as well. And it's so much easier said than done on my end. Like, I'm a perfectionist. I'm actively working on that every day. But once you unlock the full understanding of how to use it as a tool, instead of allowing it to take over you, it can be absolutely incredible. And you'll hear about that today on the podcast as well. If you've been following along, you know I've been building what I call my She Ace That collection wall. It's a wall in my space behind me that I'm going to start building, collecting the items now, where I display meaningful items from guests and from my journey, things that tell a story. Last season, I shared the story behind a coaching polo from one of my old coaches who changed everything for me in volleyball, and it was the most meaningful thing to receive. And today, I want to highlight something that is obviously incredibly fitting for this episode, and I think my absolute favorite item yet. And it is going to be beyond hard to top it. So I have, again, this is like the most special thing in the whole world to me. I have a signed volleyball from Michigan State's head coach, Kristen Kelsay. Also, congratulations to her. She just signed a contract through 2031, and Michigan State is so lucky to have her. And this one is just so personal to me. I actually was able to go meet her at her office. She's the kindest human in the world, most selfless, giving, kind, and truly, I can't go on and on enough about how lucky that program is to have her. Coolest item, though, for sure. And I just am so appreciative that she was able to give me this. And it really is something that I'm going to hold on and protect for forever. This is a representation of why I started She Ace That in general. Michigan State volleyball means the world to me. I played on the club team, obviously. I've said that 1,000 times. But that was my foundation. College volleyball is the most incredible thing. It is the most formative years of anybody's life. Like, if you aren't planning to play a sport in college, there's club options, there's intramural, like, there's ways to keep the sport you love in your life. And honestly, if you told me that I would have this, and gosh, back when I was in college, back in high school, I'd be like, this is a dream item to receive, and it's an honor. And so I used to shag balls in Jennison Fieldhouse. I've watched Kristen Kelsay play while she was at Michigan State, and it's just a full circle moment for me. Attended camps there as a kid. Coach Kathy George, she is a huge role model for me in the volleyball world and sports world, and I just feel super connected to this program. This volleyball just represents so much of my volleyball journey. Michigan State wasn't just a program I admired throughout my life. It was part of my foundation, truly. I watched what Big Ten volleyball looked like up close and dreamed about what was possible. And the reason I'm sharing this particular item today is because our guest has lived that dream. She's been at Michigan State for all 4 years, through coaching changes, through roster turnover, through everything. And her story is exactly what that is all about. So let me introduce you to today's guest. She just finished her career as a senior at Michigan State, and I want to tell you why Evie's story is so special. So she's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. She played at Grand Rapids Christian High School, where she was a 3-time state champion and a Miss Volleyball finalist. She committed to Michigan State and was there for all 4 years. She was the constant, the steady presence through all of it. And her journey wasn't the easiest. She switched positions 3 times in 3 years in college, at the college level, 3 different positions. She came in as a 6th rotation outside hitter, moved to right side, moved to middle blocker, and has played wherever the team needed her. She brings what her coaches call something you can't teach, physicality and a steadiness to your game. And that's what she was for her team. She did whatever her team needed. Evie has talked about being unconditionally committed. I'm so excited for you guys to hear this conversation. So with that, let's get into it. Evie, welcome to She Aced That.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here. I would love to go back to the beginning of your journey, but I do want to start with how you are feeling currently with your senior season wrapping up.
I mean, it's surreal that it's over. I mean, it's no cliche like when they say 4 years go by fast, but like it goes by fast. But I'm happy with how I left it. I know this program did so many great things this past year, and they're going to continue to do great things. And I'm just excited that I could be a part of it and play for Kristen Kelsay for her first year, be able to just see where this journey takes them. And I just know it's going to be a dynasty to level up to Kathy George's, that's for sure.
Absolutely, both legends. And I think it's so cool to see Coach Kelsay go full circle too, which we'll definitely get into. I do want to go back to you growing up in Grand Rapids and being from Michigan. I feel like it's really cool to just have this journey and staying here in Michigan. So after state titles in high school and being a Miss Volleyball finalist, can you take me back to when you started volleyball and found your love for the sport?
Yeah. And so I think I was about 5th or 6th grade, and I had done basically every sport under the sun. My dad coached me in basketball. That was my main thing when I was really young. But then, yeah, I got to about 6th grade and all of my friends were trying volleyball. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Like, this looks fun. I also hated running as a child. I still do, with a passion. And so I was like, this is a great competitive sport where I don't have to run up and down the court, which is very appealing to me. And yeah, I would say within the first practice, I was like, oh my gosh, I love this. Like, this is it. And I think it was immediately after playing 1 season of school, I was like, I need to do club. I need to do this, and like just kept making it my entire life. Yeah. And then it was about 8th grade that I kind of got my first recruiting thing in the mail. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is legit. Like, I can make this my career. I can go to college for that. I can make this my world. It was just, yeah.
It's amazing. I feel like you don't know until you know, and then you're like, wow, like there is a long-term possibility with doing something I love.
Well, yeah, I would say when you're young, you see like professional athletes, but you never think of yourself in that way of when you're just like messing around with your friends in 6th grade, you never think about that stuff. And then all of a sudden it hits you. It's just, yeah, a bit of another surreal moment to be like, oh my goodness, there's so much ahead of me. There's so much I can work for and continue playing this sport.
Yeah. When did you start club?
I think it was 6th grade.
6th grade.
It's my first year. I think it was 6 because I played up a year. I was a age below what they allowed for the first year of
Mhm.
club, and then I think I somehow had my mom scam me into joining the team above the age group above me. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it was 6 maybe?
It really is crazy though, like, if you are able to start club earlier, I do feel like it just sets your foundation better, for going
Yeah.
into middle school and especially high school. If you play club, you stand out so much more than the other high schoolers just coming off of the competition level of middle school volleyball. Did
100%.
you see, like, yourself along with maybe any other of your friends that, played club earlier on? Was that something that kind of helped you get those possible, like, recruiting letters in the mail so young too?
Yeah, I was gonna say, knowing that schools are looking specifically at club, like, I don't think
Mhm.
I know a single coach who goes and scouts out in high school. Like, that is
Yeah.
not even in the realm nowadays.
Mhm.
So, I mean, being so tall when I was young also was a
Mhm.
huge factor of that. But yeah, I remember being in my first couple tournaments for club and seeing all these coaches walking around even at the youngest level,
Mhm.
like, courts. 'Cause I'm glad that they had the change to only recruit when you get to junior of high school. So it lets
Yeah.
kids be kids. It lets them play and not worry about that stuff too young. But
Mhm.
yeah, back in my day when I'm saying back in my day like I'm old, like, back when I was playing club, that was not the case, and so I was, again, like, 7th or 8th grade, and there were college coaches sitting on your court. I'm like, "I haven't even made it to high school. Like, I'm supposed to start thinking about college. This is insane." So, yeah, I think definitely me and my friends who played club, we definitely saw a difference in our transition to higher level volleyball through that realm and also through, like, the pressure of realizing, like, we're being looked at, like, we're doing this to be recruited and to go on to college. We're not just doing this to be the best in our high school.
Our frontal lobes aren't even developed till we're, like, out of high
Exactly.
school pretty much. We think we know everything when we're, like, 15, 16, especially
Yeah,
in sports, but especially from the mental side, it's probably a little overwhelming to start
yeah,
thinking that way in middle school. I know you're very versatile from a position standpoint, which we'll also get into, but it's like anything can change your first few years of high school and club teams on what they need from you.
mhm,
It's hard to commit to, like, a specific position earlier. If you get to your sophomore, junior in high school, it could completely change, and that's kind of what happened
yeah,
for me. Like, sophomore year was my transition to the best position for me. But before my sophomore year in high school, I was kind of open to whatever, which is probably good as well. But it is just something to like be cognizant of going through and like kind to yourself in eighth grade. We still don't even know what the future can hold. When did you commit to Michigan State?
I committed my junior year to Kathy George.
Were you looking at various other schools? Was there like a runner up or was Michigan State your go
Yeah.
to?
So, this is actually hidden lore about me, but I grew up a Michigan fan, and
Okay.
so
Okay. We'll
growing
let it
up.
slide.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I chose the right school in the end. So growing up, I never actually even considered Michigan State. I
Yeah.
had, like, this, like, underlying loyalty to my dad who was a Michigan fan, and I was like, "Oh, I'll never go there." And then once I grew up and started the recruiting process, and Michigan State was this big name,
Mhm.
being in the Big Ten, obviously, too, is like being in the best conference was so appealing, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I looked at Michigan State, I was like, "Why wouldn't I go there?" It's close to home,
Yeah.
it's in the best conference for volleyball. I'll be challenged, I'll be playing against the best players and the best teams in the world, like, why not? Like, so there were a couple runners up, and I'm obviously not in the COVID class, but my class definitely got affected by that. Um, so when that June 17, whatever the date is, rolled around, I definitely got a few calls saying, "Hey, we are very interested in you, but we just don't have anything. We have all these fifth years coming back for their COVID year." And so, yeah, that ended up being a lot of schools I talked to.
Mhm. I didn't realize how much COVID impacted
Yeah.
college athletics, like just being able to leverage that year. Like I was talking to a
Mhm.
few professional volleyball players over the past couple of months and just their journey during that COVID time. And it was crazy how many, which is good to take the opportunity to stay longer, right? And extend that part of your journey, but never
Yeah.
really put into perspective that that impacted so many recruiting situations like yourself, like what you're saying, which is
Yeah. I mean,
crazy.
if I was in that position, yes, I would absolutely take a fifth year. Like, how could you pass that up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of that little dead period in recruiting, because of course, like
Mhm.
I started my recruiting process before the rule change. So I was talking to all these schools when I was eighth grade freshman year. And then it was just dead silence until my junior year. And then all these schools that I had talked to before and was ready to take visits to and ready to like pick
Mhm.
back right up back where we stopped. And then all of a sudden I'm getting these calls from them on this open date saying like, I'm sorry, like we just our hands are tied. We can't do anything about it because of COVID. So yeah, so I was so fortunate. Of course, all of this was happening. And then Michigan State, it was just kind of like a gift from God. Like they had this extra scholarship because of a donor, actually.
Wow.
And they were like, you're a Michigan kid. Like Kathy had such a love for Michigan kids, which I really appreciated. And
Mhm.
she was like, you are a homegrown kid. Like we want you. We love you. And I just knew that was my sign. I was like, this is my place. All this craziness is happening and there's so much unsure feelings with this whole recruiting process. And this is the one place that has stayed so consistent and had so much love for me and shown so
Yeah.
much appreciation for me as a player. Like this is this. So yeah, so that's
Did
how I
you go
decided.
to any Michigan State camps growing up?
Oh, so many. Too many
Yeah.
to count. Yeah, every summer.
It's just
Yes.
crazy how things come full circle, and those camps, I was always, like, the most sore after 'em. You're, like,
Yes. Oh
working all
my God.
day, every day, and your body's not used to it, but they're so worth it, and then you get to make those connections with those college athletes, kinda see how they're running things, and, like, I just remember Kathy showing some drills all the time and, pulling some of her freshmen out and putting them on the spot, and I just thought it was such a cool thing that they did, and to be able to
Yeah.
stay there and X amount of years from then, you're actually living there, so I'm glad they do that stuff.
I know, I am too. I would say
Yeah.
my first year when I worked camp that summer before starting my freshman season, I had another like crazy moment that I was like, "Oh my goodness, I'm standing in the shoes of the women that I was coached by and I grew up
Yeah.
watching and like this is crazy."
Are they mandatory? Like, do all of you have to work all of them, or is it, like, schedule based?
It's schedule based. So we all
Yeah.
do work, but it just depends on which days. Our Dovo does a really good job of making sure no one person is working every single day. I mean, it is your
Yeah.
choice if you want to, get a bit bigger paycheck, which is nice because we do thankfully get paid for working those. But yeah, it's very spaced out well.
When you committed to Michigan State, like, what did that moment mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't even describe it. Like I felt
Yeah.
so much relief and just like a weight off my shoulders because anyone going through the recruiting process, like
Mhm.
there is so much stress and it's on top of, you're playing club or you're playing high school and you're doing all these other things while you're trying to be a high school student and then making such a big decision to finally be able to make that decision and feel so much peace, like
Yeah.
you found your place is just I was on top of the world. Like I'm not kidding you. I think I wore a Michigan State sweatshirt for the entire next week to school. Like I was
I
loud and
love that.
proud, so happy. Yeah, it was definitely a core memory for
As you
me.
should be. No, that's dream, and I'm just so glad you got that. You were one of the main players too to stay your whole 4 years, and it clearly is respect to the program and respect for you, and I feel like you made it so worthwhile, especially college athletes, the transition from high school to college, moving on your own. Obviously, you have, like, a whole new schedule now for classes and being a student athlete for your really intense D1 college volleyball schedule. So, can you just describe, like, what that transition was like for you your freshman year? Were there any struggles, and how did that go?
Yeah. I would definitely say I took a big dip in confidence my freshman
Mhm.
year. Um, I mean, like my high school was very good at volleyball, and we had very good competition here in Michigan. But being such a tall, dynamic player, I was kind of used to being like a very dominant go to person all the time on all of my teams. So then getting to Michigan State, I was thankfully lucky enough to be able to play and start. But it was even through that still a competition to be that go to person. And I think I knew it was going to be hard. I knew that's why I was going to Michigan State because I wanted someplace that was going to challenge me. But coming off of being a senior in high school to then being a freshman at Michigan State, it was definitely an emotional toll of like trying to like convince myself I was still good enough to be here, but also
Mm.
feeling like I wasn't performing as well as I had been because I'm put up against these other great athletes, which I wasn't used to that competition
Mhm.
before. And so it's definitely a learning curve I feel like every freshman goes through, but yeah, it was a good push I needed because
Mhm.
as hard as it was my freshman year, I mean, that's how it is for the rest of your career in college.
Mhm.
So that's that transition I needed to get used to the atmosphere of being a college athlete. I mean, it's a little bit more business, it's a little bit more work than it is in high school, but there's
Yeah.
still so much gratitude for that experience and so much fun within that experience. So yeah, so just getting used to that and making that switch in your brain.
It's hard for college student athletes in general too. Like you are not only adjusting to the freshman life, I think a lot of freshmen have that, I don't know, like who am I now situation. Like you were used to being around the same people in high school. You had your niche of where you were in your sports career. As athletes, we always expect the most of ourselves. And like if we don't feel like we're on the top of it, it immediately impacts us. I'm sure so many athletes go play college when they're feeling, what am I doing here? And how do I get out of this funk? First year for anything, that trial year of figuring it out. Once we finish college, we look back on those times and those were like the best times, and in the
Yeah.
moment, we just don't realize it. It's a lot. So when did you notice things starting to shift for you to like a more relaxed realm?
I would say I feel like every season there was a time where I did feel like lose a little confidence just because, players naturally go through funks in different ways. But I think it was my sophomore year when I first had the conversation with my coach about switching to the right side.
Mhm.
I was really hesitant at first. And like you said, like it was very uncomfortable, which then I didn't appreciate, but now I do. But then, like, my coach expressing how much I was needed there, I think was that change for me. Again, like, I had only ever played outside, that's where I was comfortable, that's identified as an outside, and to make that switch at first, I was a little resistant, I was like, "Nope, that's not for me, I've never done that," but she convinced me that it was the best way to help my team, and I was like, "You know what? Yeah, you're right, I just wanna help this team, I will do whatever you need." And it was the best decision. I loved the right side. I think that was the time I really had, like, my breakout moment as
Mhm.
a college athlete was my sophomore year because I just felt so comfortable there. I mean, of course, after a little bit, there took some training there, but after a little bit, I felt so comfortable and just so confident playing on the right side, and I was able to help my team so much, even if it wasn't in my initial position, like, and just the confidence I had and feeling like my team needs me. Like I am a great athlete because I can do this for my team. The most important thing is always to help the team win.
Mhm.
Like it's put the team before myself always. And so I think that was a big moment for me emotionally and physically for my play.
I think it's something we grow with too. Like, it's not like you wake up one day and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm on board playing any position you want to
Mhm.
throw me in. Understanding why, getting the full rundown, getting the gist of it if you haven't been practicing it or playing it. And what I want everybody listening to take from it is like, no matter what level you're at, it can be in middle school, high school, club,
Mhm.
college, professional, like there's always room for things to change. And like you said, you can commit maybe as an outside and have the potential of playing other roles, but like our mental models are set in the one direction that we're trying to focus on and get better on. You're not playing in an outside hitter role and trying to get better on the right side because that's not
Yeah.
your like initial focus. So I think it's
Yeah.
just normal to feel that way. I think a lot of athletes feel that at all levels. And it's something that, like you're saying, you work through and you can get on board with, but it's okay if it takes a little bit of time and patience to figure that out for yourself.
It's always intimidating at first, but
Yeah. Yeah.
good to
And it
give
says
yourself.
a lot about you though, from like versatile player standpoint, because a lot do try to niche themselves into one position, which isn't always bad at all. It's really great to have something to fall back on. But you switched roles throughout the years that you were at Michigan State too.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through how it felt from going to be a six rotation outside hitter to a right side to being middle to being wherever needed? I watched you in person when you guys played U of M, a couple months ago. And like,
Mhm.
again, I know I messaged you this, but you just stood out to me as like as a versatile player. Like me and my sister, we were like raving about you the whole match.
Yeah.
But I think it just goes to show that like you were on board with what your team needs and everybody from the outside can see it. So how were those transitions each year like changing? What were maybe your favorite roles of that?
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say so the right side was definitely my favorite switch, I think. I just found a sense of new level of confidence on the right side. Um, and then the switch to the middle was so intimidating. I've never had any experience as a middle. I
It's a hard
so
position.
what I learned very quickly is like the amount of sets you get from outside to right side definitely gets cut in half. Then the
Yeah.
amount you go to middle is like so limited. And that's what I hated the most was because I was like, I'm so used to getting the ball all the time and be having chances to score and making that switch to only getting it in very specific scenarios of perfect pass or in medium systems, stuff like that was so challenging because I was like, I want to hit, I want to do stuff. And it just felt like I wasn't impacting the play as much because I wasn't used to, the middle blocking mentality of just get there and get your hands up. And so yeah,
And pulling off the other blockers.
yeah, holding the other middle and trying to go for strong for a route and then not getting
Uh,
anything. Yes. That was
yeah.
it was not a lot of glory at first, which was challenging. Yeah, that switch when my coach first presented me with that, I was like, absolutely not. Like, okay, route side to right side's one thing. Like, I'm just switching sides. It's just opposite mechanics, but middle, I've never done that. Like, but their reasoning, I remember them telling me the reason. They were like, you are so good with fast tempos because I ran a fast tempo on the outside and on the right side. You're like, you are so good with fast tempos, and we need a middle, and we think you are it. We think you're the answer. And again, it was kind of that emotional switch I need to make. Like, this is for the team. Put yourself aside, put your own feelings aside. Yes, it's going to be hard, but this is for the team. And that every time, I mean, throughout my entire career, every time I was asked to do something, that was always my mentality. Yes, it might not be what you want to do, but it's for the team and you'll be playing. That's the most important thing to me. Yeah. So I took it on full heartedly. Um, and a lot better than I was expecting, I can say. And I did end up loving it.
Yeah.
The
It's
hitting
rewarding. It's
yes,
hard.
the
It's
hitting more than the
rewarding though.
blocking, but I did end up having a lot of appreciation for it. And in the long run, slides became my thing. I love slides. And so then transitioning back to the right side for my senior year, I was like, hey, I will run whatever you need me to, outside, middle, right side. But like if I'm on the right side, I want to run slides. Like I made that very clear. So that is definitely something we worked really hard on incorporating at all points during my game this year because it's really handy to have the double quick against an opponent and being able to work that in. And yeah, so
Yeah.
it overall, it was a crazy 4 years of transitioning and learning new things and a lot of scary moments as a player. And especially at this level, switching to be an entirely new position when you're a junior in college and you're playing against the biggest teams in the nation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of growth for me and I'm very appreciative of that.
And it's crazy how your muscle memory is different for each position. So like
Mhm.
you're not only training a new skill set of like what you're supposed to do as a middle versus a right side or outside, but your muscles are completely different that you're using too from
Totally,
laterally blocking
100%.
both ways and the quick movements. And it's just something that needs to be continuously talked about is like, sure, it's like mentally sometimes challenging and obviously from a skill set challenging, but it's also like your body's figuring out a new way of movement. The previous year before you were fully set on not even having to
Mhm.
think about those movements. And now you're just retraining that subconsciously as well, which I give you so much credit for doing over and over again.
Thank you, yeah. Yeah, that and, like, the timing of everything, like, when I started this with training with the new staff, they were like, "You need to slow down your blocking," because I was so, like, middle oriented, like, I was like, "Just get up fast, get your hands up fast." So then on the
Yeah.
right side, we started training, and I was, like, always so early because 'cause I'm like, "I gotta go
Hey,
fast,
that's
gotta
a
go
good
fast."
thing though. It's better to like have
Yeah,
that and try to reel back than the opposite. But I will say
yeah.
that is probably the positive of the middle is like you don't have a second to even like wait.
Yes, exactly. So that's yeah, definitely something that was also a challenge was to switch back from middle to right side is there definitely some things that I thought would come a little bit more faster because I had done it before and
Mhm.
took a little longer to wipe away the middle training and get back to right side. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it added a lot to my game that I'm very appreciative
Thank you for sharing that.
of.
You were at Michigan State your whole college career, and you do see a lot of athlete entering the transfer portal or maybe staying at a college for a couple years and trying to pivot. And even
Mhm.
with your position adjustments, you still were accepting regardless of the challenges and staying with the program. What were your reasons for staying? And was there ever any temptation of transferring?
Yeah. So when I first committed to Kathy and she ended up leaving, it was in the conversation with my parents because we didn't know who was going to get signed on. But evidently, it was because of all the trouble I had with recruiting at that time and the way COVID affected it. I was like, I think it is too risky, honestly. And I appreciated still being close to home in case something happened that went wrong, in case I really didn't like our staff and I did want to transfer after my freshman year. And so I saw a lot of benefits in staying. And then we ended up getting Leah, and the first year went phenomenal. And I did really want to stay, and I loved my experience. Even throughout the switches, the position switches in my first 3 years, I was, like, again, hesitant, did have some struggles there, but it was nothing to the point where I wanted to choose transferring above the experience I was getting here. I would say I was still playing at the highest level, even if it wasn't my main position. I loved my coaches. I loved my teammates. I loved the school. I never felt like there was a big enough reason to push me out just because I wasn't playing the position I wanted to be. And then, yeah, after the last coaching staff left, it was definitely another big conversation. I had some teammates that were in my year who also were thinking about transferring, and I ended up going in the transfer portal. And because it was such a fast turnaround right after the fall season, it was a very short window of opening to do it. And so that put a lot of pressure on me to make that decision really quickly with very limited information. Um, and so I kind of looked at my options schooling wise. Um, in transferring, I would have had some struggles with credits and stuff. And here at Michigan State, I had the opportunity to graduate early. And plus, I there was 7 girls left on the team. And I was the only senior at this point. And so I kind of looked at it and I was like, you know what? I love these girls. I love this place. I can take on whatever happens with volleyball for one semester to be here and be with these girls. And I felt a bit of like a motherly, like a instinct to be like, I need to
Yeah.
stay here and protect these girls. I was the only senior left. There was a lot of internationals on our team too that were staying. And I was like, there's so much change going on in this program. Like, I feel a personal need to stay and make sure that this place is okay. And I think some of that probably did come out of fear of, transferring and not enjoying my experience at another school. But yeah, I figured it was the better or smarter decision to stay at a place with people that I absolutely adore and, one more semester, take on whatever happens with volleyball. But yeah, just to make sure that I left this place better than where I found it. That
Mhm.
was something I really valued. And it's like if I can make sure that happens in the next semester with these girls and whatever new people come into this program, then I will feel successful and feel settled with myself in this program when I leave. And thankfully, that's exactly what happened. We got the most amazing coaching staff possible. They are the best people in the world. I love them to death. And the transfers we got in are amazing people too. They're great athletes, great women. The culture there is better than I've ever seen anything in my life. So I can say that's exactly what happened. I'm leaving feeling so happy with where this program is headed and the success they're going to have in the next few years, decades, and so on.
That is a testament of who you are, which I already could tell you, but you are loyal and you are a
Thank you.
leader. And it doesn't shock me that you felt that way about sticking through this program and feeling like, you owed it something to in return. And I think that's a beautiful thing. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Your perspective on it was really logical to think through. And it's like you were able to accept your position changes, but understand that you were still playing and that you still love this place. And
Mhm,
even with coaching changes, which impacts a lot of schools. Like when coaching changes
mhm,
happen, I feel like that's when, transfers are really high and it's just part of the process because of the unknown. But I do feel like you were rewarded in such a positive way now with like Coach Kelsay by sticking around through, those times and transition. So when you found out about Coach Kelsay coming back and being the head coach, what was your initial thoughts?
Oh, I was so happy.
Yeah.
Immediately felt so much relief. Just again, because we were at such a scary point with everyone leaving our program, and we didn't know what was going to happen. To hear that it was Kristen coming back, and I actually grew up, she was working the camps that I was growing up going to, and
Yeah.
so I had a personal connection there. I just felt so much relief and so much happiness that I was, for one, gonna be able to play under her, but for two,
Mhm.
I knew she was gonna do such great things and that she was gonna be so good for all of the girls in this program, especially the young ones. She has so much patience when coaching, and I think that is so helpful because our team was so young this year that
Mhm.
it had so much benefit to these young girls trying to be comfortable and grow confidence in this new environment. It was, yeah, a surreal moment. I was so happy.
It was awesome to see too the beginning of your guys' season. You guys were rocking it. It was cool to see everybody buying in to
Mhm.
her coming in and leading this team. It showed that that was a really great decision on Michigan State's part to bring her back. You guys kicked off the season so incredible. If there was somebody else that maybe not have brought the dynamics that she does, then it could have looked different and been a little bit harder of an
Yeah.
adjustment, especially for a younger team.
And that's something that I thought was so spectacular was the way
Yeah.
everyone bought in. I mean, even from the beginning of spring, we only had 7 girls who had all already been here, except for one actually. And it was, I've never seen people make a switch in their game so fast. Like, it was the way she walked in and had so much love for this place and for the people in this program already that I think brought everyone in together right away, which again, like I've never seen anywhere else. People were just, the entire team was so ready to just follow her, run through a brick wall for her. Like it was
Yeah.
just that immediate connection. And yeah, it was no hesitation to buy all into what she was coaching and what she was doing with this program.
Yeah, she's amazing. When I talked to her and just her sharing the values that she was instilling, I was like, that's what these sports and programs need. They
Mhm.
need coaches leading with genuine values and will take one for the team, protect you guys, but also be there for the other football coaches that have been going on the past few years, which I don't even want to really get into, but it's just like, how
Right.
can these coaches think that they can like, college, we're still I consider college still like kids because,
Yeah.
we're still relying on mentors. We're still relying on people to guide us
Yep.
and, get us through these 4 years. And it's just disappointing for the situations that don't have, like a Coach Kelsey where you can trust them, you can buy into
Mhm.
them and, they really do want what's best for you and want to be the best mentor they can be, even though we're all human. But as long as you're leading with those intentions, I think it's a game changer for all of these programs. And I'm really grateful that you guys had that compared to the other stuff that we see all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I would say the emotional connection she makes with every single person in this program is spectacular. It's people are in her office every single day just talking about a test they had or a relationship problem or something going on with the housing, like any possible problem or event in anyone's lives. They're
Mhm.
sharing it with her and they're connecting with her. And it's just so amazing to see her be so bought in, not to just us as players, but to us in our personal environment and our personal lives, and just having to be a supportive character in every
Mhm.
single aspect of our lives is just so special.
That's needed, like, especially when you're
Mhm.
going through life changes. Obviously, we need to focus on our sport and our goals and successes there, but I think it all ties together. And if you don't have the outside stuff being allowed in, then it's just going to be a lot harder to feel like you can let everything out there on the court. You're still like, holding things back. It helps that she's has the background at the school. I feel like that's easier to buy in no matter
Mhm.
what. It's like this person actually cares. They're an alumni. They put their blood, sweat, and tears on the same court that you are. It's a unique situation that was really, really great for all of you from an outside perspective. Was there one value that stood out to you the most or you felt really changed the dynamics of this program?
I would say unconditional commitment. It was one of our 5
Yeah.
values. It recognized when we talked about it, it recognized that not every day you're gonna have your best day. When we talk about it, we talk about, like, you might only have 60% of your full go. that day, but still give us that 60%. So there might be something going on in your personal life or in school that makes you not feel your best that day, but just still give everything you have for that day. And I think recognizing the personal aspect of that we are still students and we still have a social life outside of volleyball, even though, volleyball is our main thing. Recognizing that that outside stuff still does affect us and still can be carried into the gym as much as we try and leave it outside. So, yeah, so just the amount of grace she had for recognizing those things in our lives, but still wanting us to give everything to the program that we possibly can, mentally, physically, emotionally. Yeah, that one
I
really
love
stood
that.
out.
Did you see differences in their coaching styles between Kristen and Kathy, or do you think they're pretty aligned?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I never got the chance to actually be coached by Kathy, but I remember hearing she was a bit more intense.
That's so
I
funny.
think overall very similar values and styles, but I think you'd get a little bit more intensity from Kathy than you will from Kristen. Kristen's very good about keeping it calm and keeping a very level head all the time. And Kathy, I think, is a little bit more fiery, heated, in it with you type.
It's amazing how everybody has different things that work best for them, and they're,
Yeah,
like, still successful regardless. It's really
exactly.
cool
Yeah.
that Kathy's now in Grand Rapids too. That's such a full
I know,
circle
Coaches
moment.
to Rise. I love it. It's so
Yeah.
cool that she's right here in hometown and so close
Mhm.
to Lansing. That same fan base can continue to cheer her on and at the Rise.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I was curious. So I do want to pivot back to you being one of the only 2 seniors this year and carrying that unique leadership role, of course. So how do you approach that responsibility?
Yeah, so we had 2 captains that had been captains for 3 years actually before me, Julia and Nani. They were phenomenal. I looked up to them so much, and thankfully, we had Julia on staff this year, so I was able to pick her brain, ask her questions about that kinda stuff, but I think the main thing I wanted to focus on when stepping into that leadership role is just being a consistent, like a consistent shoulder to lean on, a consistent player, consistent voice on and off the court. Again, I recognized how much change was happening, how many new players, new staff we had, and for being the one person who's, been here for 4 years, just trying to be that listening ear, that helpful person to every single one of them. Whoever needed anything, to be that reliable person, and especially in the gym, like helping other players buy in by doing it too. Um, I don't know if that made sense, but
Yeah, no, it does.
encourage,
Absolutely.
backing up
Yeah.
Kristen and encouraging everyone to buy in just as
Mhm.
much, which we had no problems with, obviously, because everyone was so willing to do that because of her and her personality and her coaching style. But yeah, I mean, I even talked to Dan about it, like, usually seniors are the hardest ones to have buy-in, you've done different training for 3 years now, it's a little more challenging for us. Again, like, her personality was so easy, and so I talked to him about it. I think me doing that so quickly and encouraging other players to do it was really helpful for that
Mhm.
transition too. So, being that one person who's been here for the longest, just trying to be so
Yeah.
helpful for all the new people and make it as comfortable and smooth transition as possible.
And they need that. It's always nice to like, obviously, you're gonna wanna listen to your coach, but I think when a player is actively supporting your coach as well, and you can buy in, like you were saying, I do think that just helps everybody get on board
Mhm.
sooner as well, right? It's not gonna take half the season to get there. You guys, kicked it off really incredible, and I'm sure a huge testament of that goes to you. So I
Thank
just give you a
you.
lot of energy back for that. And that's, it's needed at all levels, and not everybody buys in. You can't always teach it or force
Mhm.
it, but I think the best athletes and the ones that are the most successful and whatever, you want to define success as, but just, the most genuine ones and hardworking ones are the ones that are able to make sure you have that team understanding of expectations and that you're still there for each
Yeah.
other, but you still got to buy in and work hard when it's right. And I think there's just a lot more distractions these days with like social media and comparison. And I see a
Mhm.
lot of younger athletes complaining on social media a lot, especially volleyball players, like about their high school coaches or whatever. And I'm like, it's just so hard to see that because it's not that there are not the best coaches out there, programs out there, but it is just
Yeah.
sad how many distractions there could be when you need to be not feeding into it on social media or to
Mhm.
whomever else, you need to be like buying in and doing it in the moment and working hard regardless sometimes of the circumstances you're experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. Along with that, I feel like a lot of blame goes toward coaches sometimes when teams or players are underdeveloped or not
Mhm.
performing as they want to. And then, yeah, the blame gets put on coaches, which is disappointing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a reality of what it's like to be a coach now.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And most coaches are selfless and, are putting their extra time and energy into things. And just, it's just sad when, some coaches do take a step back because of those situations. But again, it's like you have to just have the confidence in yourself as a player and a coach to know what you're doing is right and that the right people will be there, to support you along the way. So, question for you. This is pretty random, but like from a rivalry standpoint, so obviously like playing U of M, that was a huge game and you
Hmm.
guys swept them and it was so fun to be at and watch and like just being in the Breslin. Are there any other teams that you guys feel that way with over the past, your past 4 years that you were like we have to beat this team? Or is it really
Oh,
just like a Michigan rivalry?
trying to think. Um,
I mean, obviously you want to win every game, but like from the fun standpoint.
I mean, obviously playing Nebraska is always fun because their fans travel like crazy. So yeah, having them in the Breslin every year has been really cool to have all those people there. I mean, despite most of them wearing red because of their fans traveling so well, it's still really
Yeah.
cool to pack the Breslin like that. Thing. I would say one other that stood out to me was Minnesota was really cool this year.
Yeah.
Going to Minnesota was really fun because of Kristen's recognition there and her relationships. And I think it was super cool for her to, I mean, especially also being our first Big Ten game, for her to be announced and for the entire PAV to stand up and
Mm,
applaud for her was really
mhm.
special for her and for us just to see her get that recognition and
Yeah.
appreciation. So, not like
I
rival,
love
but I thought that was a really cool experience for us.
yeah. Well, and I love when it can be positive, right? Like,
Yeah,
even like, people
exactly.
can get so nasty negative, but it's like sports is supposed to be the fun rivalry and, like, the community
Yeah.
backing and, it doesn't have to be negative, and I think we're all there for the same reason. We're all there because we love the sport and we love what it gives to us, and so, I appreciate you sharing that because that is a really cool situation for everybody. Full
Mm,
circle.
yeah, it was
Awesome.
pretty awesome.
So what's next for you?
So I've actually committed to Pepperdine University for beach volleyball,
Oh
and
my
I'm
gosh,
going to do my master's.
congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm gonna go do my master's in psychology.
Oh my gosh. That's
Yes.
so exciting. Beach is amazing. So how did that process even come about?
Yeah, so I played growing up every summer. We've got all those leagues up and down the west coast of Michigan,
Mhm.
and I really enjoyed it, but obviously couldn't it's not an actual sport here, and I couldn't join any teams or get really into it. So it just became kind of a summer hobby for me. And
Yeah.
then as I started getting closer to college, it kind of became a conversation that, more volleyball players were switching over after doing their 4 years to do beach volleyball. Having my background kind of became a conversation with my mom about it. And I was like, well, I haven't even gotten to college yet or started my indoor career. So let's like hold off on this idea for a bit. Um, but it was definitely a good opportunity that I kept in the back of my head. So yeah, so then this year I always knew I wanted to get my master's because I want to go into sports psychology, work at a university, kind of maybe even come back to MSU and do that kind of thing. So I always knew I'd want to get my master's. So yeah, I got in the transfer portal this following October for grad transfers. After a little bit of a process, I came across Pepperdine and it was absolutely fell in love with the coaches, an immediate connection. Of course, the campus is absolutely stunning. And then thinking about it, I had this memory that my senior year of high school, the summer before going into MSU and my freshman year here, my family and I actually took a trip on to California. And I remember specifically sitting on the beach in Malibu, and my mom points out the tops of the buildings of the Pepperdine campus. And she kind of jokingly says, like, wouldn't it be so cool if you could go there and play beach and get your master's? And I was like, oh, haha, yeah, but that would be awesome. Like, I haven't even started my career at
Wow.
MSU, and she like makes this joke. And I didn't take it seriously at all. And now I'm sitting here, I'm like, I have this full offer to go and live out this joke, this dream that I
Yeah.
had. way back when that I never took seriously, and now it's actually sitting right here in my lap, and I was like, "I have to do this, like, this is amazing." So that's yeah, it was
Mm.
kind of a full circle moment right there. It was like crazy, crazy memory to have, and it was kind of like God, placing that moment in my life, being like, "You're actually looking at
Mhm.
your future right now, and you have no idea." And so, yeah, I thought that was really special, and I'm so excited for it. I think it is going to be
Yeah.
the best experience, and I'll be able to do it for a year and a half and live somewhere new and get a whole new experience in volleyball world. So, yeah, I think it's just gonna be
It's
great.
awesome. It's such an awesome transition too. I think a lot of people don't know the options out there to continue playing the sport you love,
Yeah.
even at the highest level of competition like you're at. And I swear these moms too, they have this weird intuition. Like they point
Yes,
things out because
they always do.
it was like my freshman year in high school, and she's like, "You should go into like packaging at Michigan State. Like they, have volleyball, but also the club team and stuff." And I was like, "I'm not going to go deal with boxes or whatever." And then I went to Michigan State to packaging. It just was like a similar thing where they
Yeah,
just, I swear, have these like intel moments or like God's giving us signs, like you're saying, and it's just
100%.
such a crazy way to watch how everything pans out in our lives. So I'm really excited for you.
Thank you. Yeah, they definitely know us better than we know ourselves sometimes.
Yep, that's their jobs. It's so
Yeah.
great. And so when you enter the transfer portal for that, like from Michigan State now, is it still under like just volleyball or is like beach a different thing that you have to like, is it just more to the process?
Yeah, beach is a whole different thing. I mean, it
Yeah.
was more of just signing forms and then, for the sport that I'm transferring for, I just wrote beach volleyball, which
Gotcha.
process itself was pretty easy. But yeah, it was just a matter of inputting beach volleyball specifically. So
Hmm.
I know some girls do it for both if they're transferring mid undergrad, and you can put in both as an option. But yeah, for my circumstance, I just was inputting beach volleyball, so only had
That's
those coaches
interesting.
reaching out to me instead of a whirlwind of both indoor and outdoor.
Yeah. Well, and not a lot of people talk about the transfer portal. So I think it's an interesting process overall that really, unless you're in it, you don't know too much about it.
I would always love to see what it looks like from the coach's perspective, because
Yeah.
once you enter, it's like, oh, you get an email saying that you're in it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like, you just get emails from different coaches, but I would love to see how they look at it and the complexity of how many players are in it and how you even get alerted about players, and it's just a whole world that we don't really know much about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It is so intriguing. Well, I'm so excited for you and
Thank
congratulations again.
you.
You so deserve it. I'm glad you have something lined up just to, continue fulfilling your volleyball passion. And I think it will be really, really good at this point in life to move. Not many people get that opportunity for a long time in their life to have a new
Mhm.
um, environment. And I think it's great to always, take those when they come. So I'm glad it worked out for you.
Thank you so
That's
much. I really
awesome.
appreciate it.
Yeah. So I do have one last question for you. I know we're a little over time. So what would you go back and tell little Evie? Like if you could go back to yourself in middle school or before you even, started playing club and where you are at now, is there any advice you would give her?
I would say it's a good one. I would say find confidence in yourself and not what you produce. I feel like for a lot of my life in volleyball, I was always finding a lot more confidence and playing with a lot more confidence when I was performing well. And I understand that's difficult for everyone. Obviously, that could go for everyone, but I remember having a bit of a emotional roller coaster, especially when I was younger and my first year in college of feeling on top of the world when I was playing well and then feeling so low and feeling like I didn't belong in the sport or playing at this level when I was performing not to my best abilities. So yeah, finding confidence in myself rather than what I produce and maybe just like giving myself more grace. I'm a huge perfectionist and I wish I had understood and learned to let myself make more mistakes when I was younger instead of putting so much pressure on myself to always be at the top of my game and performing my best because yeah, when things went wrong, it just felt like my emotional control went crashing down and then it just kind of started to gain more traction and get worse as that
Mhm.
happened, and it just yeah, I wish I had gotten a little bit more control of that when I was younger and just, allowed myself to grow more freely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel the exact same way as you. I'm a perfectionist and I
Mhm.
think obviously volleyball and basketball, all these sports and the external validation and the performance, it's really easy for a lot of us to to feel that way and take it into, our later years in adulthood. And as we grow older and become more wise, just accepting that the confidence does sit within ourselves. And
Mhm.
I don't know if there's an answer to it for younger girls nowadays, but I do think there's just something in nobody's watching with a microscope your failures, your
Yeah.
mistakes. And we think we have to fit this perfect mold as we grow up and the decisions we make. And I think there's a beauty in sometimes making different decisions so that we can learn from them. And you don't know
Mhm.
that until you're older, until our frontal lobes are
Yeah.
developed. But I really appreciate you sharing that because I think, yeah, I fully get that. And for any young volleyball players in Michigan dreaming of playing D1 volleyball, do you have any quick advice for them?
Yeah. Um, I would say learn to be versatile. It
Hmm.
will help you along the road more than you think, and it'll definitely open you up to more experiences. I mean, especially trying to get recruited, like, if you are a outside who can play right and middle, like,
Hmm.
I wished
Yep.
I had learned that sooner because I would be a lot more confident and comfortable doing it in college. But, yeah, don't be scared to try new things and try out different positions because it's a lot more helpful than you think.
And don't let it define you. It's
Yeah.
not just because you're being moved a position isn't a negative thing. Well, Evie, thank you so much for being here. Your story, being the constant through change, your versatility, your loyalty to Michigan State. It's exactly what she said is supposed to be all about. And you've represented Spartan volleyball with so much heart. And I know this Michigan volleyball community is so, so proud of you. So thank you for sharing your journey and really appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. It was so awesome.
Thank you. And we will see you all next Wednesday.